All right, Rach, how are you feeling? How are you feeling, Rachael
I
Shaffer?
feel great. Oh my gosh, I feel great. How do you feel?
I feel okay. I'm doing good. I mean, the weather here in Miami, Florida today's a little, it's a little bit on the downer side, but we're doing it. We're keeping the energy going, fighting through the. I can't say fighting through the quarantine anymore because I feel like everyone's over the quarantine, right? How is it in your neck of the woods? Did they lift the quarantine? Because here in Miami, I feel like everyone's back to normal already.
Yeah, I don't know how much in this area they were really adhering to to begin with, but um, yeah, I think people kind of made up their own rules. So,
So I'm not even going to say we're pushing through the quarantine anymore. It doesn't apply any longer.
I mean, I think people did the best they could, but um, but in this particular area, I guess there weren't a lot of cases, and I'm not really sure why things were very different here, but you know, everyone's doing
It
the
is.
best they can, I guess.
It's true. Here in Miami I mean, yeah, this is a big city, so you know how it is. Everything shut down. People were losing it after, weeks of being stuck at home. But now that they're being able to go out into the parks again and kind of go into their normal schedule and rhythm of things, like I feel like people are starting to feel better. But what I'm worried about is that they have to remember to still be cautious and safe, right? I've seen a lot
Right.
of folks not wearing their masks and just kind of like, oh, it's over, it's free, the coronavirus is gone. And it's not that easy, it just doesn't disappear. But enough about the coronavirus because today it's all about you. It's all
Oh my
about you.
god. Oh man. Okay.
Rach, today's episode is all about you.
Wow. It's Rachel
I,
Day. Yay.
I know that the last episode you were kind of dreading it, but you shouldn't because I'm super stoked and excited for everyone to learn more about you. And I'm including myself in that because I'm sure I'm going to learn something new about you today. So, where do you want to start?
Yeah. I don't really okay, I'm not really sure what would be interesting. Um
Forget about that. Don't think about you're an interesting ball of energy. I think that you should just start from the beginning, kind of, let us know, where you come from.
mm-hmm.
Do you have any siblings? When did the spark of the arts, kind of start flowing through your veins? Kind of start there,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what might not seem interesting to you is interesting to all of us.
Born in the fall, in a small town in Pennsylvania, a rural town in Pennsylvania. Um I yeah, I think that as a child, I never quite felt like I fit in. I was pretty lonely. I felt like an alien in a way, like I
I feel
didn't
like an alien
belong.
right now.
And I didn't understand how relatable that was, that how many people actually felt that way and feel that way quite often. So, um, a lot of things that I went through, I catastrophized because I didn't understand that everyone goes through it, that
Yeah.
everyone's kind of finding their way and no one really knows what they're doing. Um, but I was born into a Catholic family in a small town in rural Pennsylvania. I have a younger brother and went to Catholic school all my life until I went to
Woohoo!
college. Yeah, that Catholic girl uniform did get me out of tickets and things, but I didn't use that power enough. I didn't understand. I I was always sort of weird and quiet and alone a lot of the times, and I didn't find my people until I got into theater. I got into the arts, and then I was like, oh, this is where I belong,
And I'm sure they were all like,
right?
"Welcome, child. Welcome."
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I would try to find ways to have community or be a part of a group. Like I played basketball, um, and so I sort of felt like part of a team there, but I didn't
Yeah.
really. Still, I still really didn't fit. And I was really hard on myself. I really judged myself, and I was very socially awkward, I would say, when I was younger. And I would just use my incredible imagination to dream my way, like to have this dream of the future to keep me going, right? To keep hope alive, and thinking one day I will meet people that will accept me, understand me. And like I said, I feel like that happened when I found the arts in high school. I feel like I was always a dancer. That's something that's huge with my family. My grandma, I would watch Star Search with my grandma in her living room. And and so I just saw how that lit her up, and I felt like I want to do that. And our family, the tradition was through dance, so we all attended.
So in your family, there's a history of performing or dancers, like your mom and dad also were involved in the arts?
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, yeah. No. My grandma really loved the arts. She was my paternal grandmother. I actually look a lot like her. She had red hair, and everyone comments that I look just like her. But she was really a character. I take after her in a lot of ways. She would go out of her way to really help other people. Like she had this heart where she wanted to care for other people. But she did it through acting and humor a lot. Like she would dress up as characters. And
oh my God, I love her.
I know. Well, she started a home for the elderly in my hometown. She just saw like a need for.
She was like a leader by nature, right? Like a pioneer.
An incredible woman, just like a powerful, incredible woman, and mother of 9 children, right? So
she was busy.
She was busy. Yeah, in the newspaper they were like almost a baseball team because the 9th was a girl, but that could have still been a baseball team. But
yeah, absolutely it could have.
Yeah, so I didn't really understand all the ways I kind of took after her.
Wow.
And how she influenced me. But I really adored her and would just hang with her. Anytime she would find herself in the hospital, I would just be sitting there with her and hanging. Like I just really enjoyed her company.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she was she would heal people with humor. She would dress up as like this ballerina. She would dress up as and go around and dance for the elderly people. She had a character, I don't know how PC this is, but she called it the bag lady. Kind of like Lucille Ball type stuff, where she would black out her teeth and have like.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could have met her. Like just hearing you talk about her is like mesmerizing to me, because I mean people like Lucille Ball have always been such influential, artists and people and women in particular that I've looked up to growing up. So just you describing that your grandmother was like Lucille Ball, and it's funny you even said it because I was already thinking it. I'm like, wow, she's such a like, comedic actor, just coming up with these characters all on her own. It reminds me also, you remember that show Laverne and Shirley back in the day? One of my favorites, like just women like that were just so entertaining and by nature so funny and creative. Jeez.
Yeah. So
and that's you, by the way. I just want to say, like, hello, you fall into that category like 150%, which is what made me, just like yearn to be your friend when we first met. Was like, this woman is so funny. Like, I just need to be next to her.
Oh my God. Well, that's so funny you say that because I feel like I also kind of took on some deep insecurities from in my biz, we would call it ancestral healing, ancestral trauma. But I took on like this legacy burden of feeling very insecure and like very like you could use a boost in confidence. So when I met you and I was in class with you and I saw how, after we know each other more, I realized a lot of it was just, you kind of saving face sometimes, but
Yeah.
you came off as so confident to me, and that drew me to you. Like, that's what made me want to be around you, because I
How
felt
funny.
like no matter what people said about what you did, you never really let it affect how you felt about it. You know what I mean? So how you felt about your performance or who you were as an artist. And I always looked up to that because I felt like I was a little more mutable, and I didn't have a solid sense of self. So that was something I would later learn is a trait of an empath, which is why I started a business called Urban Empath.
Yeah.
But because I really had to go down this healing path to understand who I am.
Yeah.
And
so tell us a little bit about that. Like, when did you discover this side of you, or when did you uncover that you wanted to start a business, which is now called Urban Empath? Tell us a little bit about that side, and if it connects to your artistic side at all, right?
Yeah, it truly does. After graduating from AMDA, Musical Theater Conservatory, I met Leah at, I was living with one of our former classmates, Allison, and we were exploring the Union Square area. And
shout out to Allison, by the way.
Woo. Hi, Allison. We were walking in Union Square, and we came upon this place, and in my memory it's like this Emerald City type place. It was called East West Living. And I walked in there, and I was mesmerized by, they had crystals, they had singing bowls, they had books, which was the main focus for me because I didn't know anything about crystals or any kind of healing tools. I loved books. Like, books were my thing. So I went in there, and it was like incredible. And I knew I had to work there. I just wanted to be there all the time. So I ended up interviewing and getting the job, even though I had really no knowledge.
That's so crazy. It was meant to be.
Yeah. Well, they later admitted, they were like, your energy is just so positive. And
and you are
they're like, we're going to put you near the front door because of the way I looked. I mean, I dressed up, and so I was a sponge there, just like I was at AMDA, and I just learned everything I could learn. And that's where I first learned the term empath. And it's taken a long time for me to even figure out what that even means, because there's so many layers.
I was just gonna ask you, can you give us like a quick little definition for those that don't know what that really means?
Yeah, an empath is somebody who, it can be, the path of an empath can come about through a wound, right? There can be an empath wound where you go through trauma and lose your sense of self. It can also be this ancestral trauma where it's something you sort of take on and you're born into. What it really is, though, is these porous energetic boundaries between other people, as well as lack of filters. So you're not really aware of what's your energy and what's other people's. So you're kind of living in this world of energy, and that's the loudest language for you, right? And not a solid sense of self, because my mentor talks about psychic inversion, where our connection with the outside world is inverted a bit compared to other people. So our path is different. So learning about yourself, creating stronger filters and boundaries, and understanding how to use it as a strength has been my journey. Part of that is attunement. And as an artist, we're constantly attuning to energy. So it really, that's why art is therapeutic. That's why many empaths are incredible artists. And that's why my performing arts path kind of blended seamlessly into the healing arts. I found that, you know, the more I studied different modalities and did more healing work, I was like, this is something that can nourish me as an artist. I could use this.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
It'll fuel you.
Yeah. As I healed, or as I explored art and my artistic side and nurtured that part of myself, I became a better healer. I became more self-actualized.
Wow.
I also found that things I would do to escape, things I would do in my bedroom, create worlds, because I was so lonely as a child and just felt like I didn't fit in.
Yeah.
I would create these incredible worlds in my mind, in my bedroom. I would have friends that, you know, I knew I couldn't see, but I was just creating worlds for myself. And later I had an acting teacher work with me. I never told her that. I kept trying to go to different teachers at AMDA and say, hey, this is something that is part of my personality. And they would tell me I should see like a therapist. They were like, that sounds like you're a little crazy. But I felt like it was something I could use as a strength. So I just kind of wanted their wisdom. And finally, I went to an acting teacher named Rosalind Coleman Williams.
Wow.
Roz Williams, she was recently on Broadway in To Kill a Mockingbird. She's an incredible actress herself, and an amazing, sometimes that doesn't always translate to great teacher, but
no,
she's an incredible teacher as well.
I mean, being an incredible teacher is a talent and craft in its own right. Not everyone has that gift, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you now, since you're talking about this teacher, was this during your time in New York?
Yes.
Yes.
This was after I was working at East West Living, the bookstore that was like the Land of Oz to me, where I met all kinds of interesting different types of people,
including celebrities, right?
Oh yeah, always. There were so many celebrities. It was so exciting.
How fun.
Yeah, that was a great thing about living in New York and working in New York, is all the celebrities. And I remember visiting New York as a child and just feeling so important being there.
Of course. Oh my God.
You know, like,
it just gives you like this feeling of grandeur.
That's why I stayed there for 12 years. I think 12, right? Let me think. Yeah, I think I lived there for 12 years.
You were there for a long time.
Yeah.
I was there for like about 7 years. Beat me by a couple.
Yeah, it was a big part of my identity after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But working with Roz, her homework assignments for me would be to look at current events, read the newspaper, and then create a scene around that in my bedroom. And I hadn't told her, like, I had not told her that, you know, I hadn't gone to her with this.
That you were already doing it.
Yeah, I hadn't gone to her with a secret that other people had shamed me around. But she started assigning this to me, and I would come in with journals full of these scenes that I had done and created.
Oh,
and we would take the characters I would come up with and plunk them into scenes. And she would say, do you see how now this is so rich with context, and there's history between you and this person because it's part of this world you've created? And then, you know, thanks to the internet and YouTube, and now information is everywhere, I would watch actors roundtables and listen to other actors talk about their process. And it was like, oh,
there's so many of them like me.
Yeah, that's part of being an actor.
Of course.
Things I thought were like insane that I was doing.
Well, and that people were telling you, you know, hey, you need to go to the crazy house. Like, and it's funny because you were telling me the story, and I'm thinking in my head, I was like, how can anyone even say that to you? Like, that's part of acting, is escaping, is going into that world. It's creating that world for that character, that context, that background story, right?
Yeah, that's
so
what I thought.
It's insane that anyone who, you know, is in this field and calls themselves a professional would even, or a teacher, you know, or a professor would even say that to you. Because somebody who's a real professor, actor, actress, whatever, you know, would say like, oh, well, you're doing it. That's the work. You're doing it without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And it's
well,
naturally part of who you were.
Right. Well, the reason that I think I got that dismissal from those two particular teachers I remember going to them with is they didn't feel connected to me. You know, they didn't appreciate me and what I had to bring. And that's something I've since learned. You can't be vulnerable with everybody. And I think that's smart. I think that's really wise. That was a great lesson to learn, that, you know, and as an empath, you know, learning that not everyone is worthy of your vulnerability. So save it for the camera, or, you know, the character or the song, you know, don't give it to people that don't value it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's so awesome. So
yeah,
tell us about Rachael Shaffer now in 2020. You know, how do you feel about yourself now and the woman that you've become, you know, after all these experiences and, you know, now having your own business and learning so much about yourself through it?
Yeah, I'm ever evolving. Still evolving.
Always.
I still have artistic dreams. I am passionate about sharing the modalities that spoke to me on my path with other people, particularly empaths, particularly intuitives and artists, right? These are the people that tend to be the chosen person in the family to carry a lot of the burden, right? So helping those people explore their darkness, right? Their shadow, those things they've disowned, not because they're evil, but just because they didn't understand how valuable they were, right?
Exactly.
That's the creative path, right? So, you know, that creative part of you, the inner child, and maybe some dark qualities, right? Can help us maintain a sense of homeostasis, individuation, so that it's safe to open and be present with people, you know?
Absolutely.
So I'm passionate about doing that with others, sharing that work with other people in different forms. And, you know, because I've explored my darkness and I didn't shy away from it, I can go there with other people and not be afraid.
That's
and
amazing.
I think that's important.
So important. And so many people wish that they could do that, right? So many of us are so afraid to face those darker sides of ourselves. But it's part of growing and part of learning and part of evolving. It's such a big part of life. And I think it's also fair to say that it comes a little bit easier for us artistic folk. Not always, but it does tend to be a little bit easier for us to face those darker sides. But do you ever see yourself going back to the stage? You want to be back on stage soon, or do you see yourself like ever doing that again?
I do think about, I've had a script idea in my heart for a while and it's evolved over time. Mostly comedy. And I've done some acting here and there. I would probably see myself more along the lines of film than anything.
Me too.
But yeah, I
see you.
I do still have dreams in that arena. Although I have such a respect for stage. Yeah.
I've always told you, I was like, I see you in Saturday Night Live. That's where you need to be, you know? On the spot, doing it. I've always told you that. That's where I see you, girl.
Thank you. I do too. It's somewhere in there, right? In the world I've created. Yeah, not just the
Crazy.
delusion, not just being delusional, but manifesting it.
Stop. It's not delusional in any sense at all. In any sense at all. Oh man. So you're in Philadelphia now, right? Pennsylvania, sorry.
Hollidaysburg.
In Hollidaysburg,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And do you want to stay in Pennsylvania, or do you ever see yourself moving to another city or back to New York City, or you're just kind of like trying to see what presents itself and where life takes you?
Um, I have had my sights set on California, the LA area or somewhere around there. I could easily see myself back in New York as well. I mean, this quarantine has really shaken things up
Yeah.
and shifted my perspective in a lot of ways. I mean, I could easily go back to New York and just put that glove back on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And start where I left off. But I do have this vision of being in California that I've had for a while. So, and opportunities have come up
Yeah.
for me to go. So I continue to, I guess, do manifestation and visualization work around that. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
I can see you in LA
Yeah.
soaking up the LA sun out there.
Yeah. The ocean is just, it's so powerful and healing for me.
I need
You know?
it. Like my body, like when I remember living in New York and growing up and having lived here in Miami for such a long time, it was like my body asked for the ocean and the sun. Like there were times where I would, it's so crazy. Like I would feel it and I was like, I need to book a ticket back home for the next month. I gotta go. Cause it was like you yearn it. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. It's like when your body's
Yeah.
asking for sugar or like carbs or, you know, anything or water, you know, like, oh, I need water. I'm thirsty. It's like that.
Yeah.
But,
Also the palm trees. Palm trees are just so glamorous to me.
I love them. I love them.
They're so beautiful. And I'm around the pines right now. Like where I'm at is very mountainous and a lot of pine trees, and I connect with that. But you know, the dream is like the palm trees and the ocean. It's so beautiful.
I love trees. I love nature, any type of nature. Like I'm such a nature chick. Like I love it. So I feel like that's God's gift to us, right? Is nature, this planet. So I just love being outside and being able to enjoy it. So I'm sure that where you live is so beautiful and so much to do and enjoy in an outdoorsy atmosphere. So, well, Rach, I mean, I think it's been so awesome being able to learn more about you and hear about this entirely different side that, you know, I didn't even know so much about until we reconnected. And it's so interesting just to hear how we evolve as humans, right? And as people. Like you just never know what route life is gonna take us. And I hope our listeners and our viewers you know, learned as much about you as I did, because it was so enlightening to hear about it.
Oh, thank you.
You see, talking about yourself during this episode wasn't so bad, Rach.
It wasn't. I really appreciate you listening, and thank you for having that conversation with me. I mean, I hope it was interesting. I don't know. I feel
It was
a little scattered.
No, it was amazing. And next episode, guys, you know, we're gonna start talking about and ranting about, I should say, random topics. So get ready, because now is when things get crazy here in the rant.
We also have a long list of people that want to be on the show. Isn't that funny?
It's so exciting. I am so excited. You know, we've already, you know, done all of these preliminary episodes where, you know, we talk about ourselves so people can get to know us. We talked about AMDA and the arts. Now we get into the crazy, goofy, funny, interesting topics. So I'm excited.
I am too. Yeah.
Listen, everyone who's watching, make sure that whether you're listening to us through, you know, any of the platforms that we're on, if you come onto our YouTube channel, make sure that you put down here below, you know, what you want to hear us talk about. And if there's anything in particular that you want us to mention or just create a show around, we're more than happy to hear what you guys have to say. And we want to hear what you guys want to here.
Yeah,
we want to
definitely.
hear about what you guys want to hear.
For sure. Yeah, and if you want to get more acquainted with my work or whatever, go to urbanempath.com. That's my website. Urban_empath on Instagram.
Yes.
And my YouTube channel.
Just to let everyone know, we're always going to have all of your information down in the info box and our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Links are below. So everything for Rachael, when it comes to her business, Urban Empath, me and my music, everything will be down there. So I'm excited.
Yay. This was so much fun.
Oh, Rach, thank you so much for, being so open and just being transparent and letting us know more about you. I really do appreciate it. And that's why I love you so much. So next week, things get crazy and fun. Can't wait for it.
I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Love you, Rach. See you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.